Welcome back. All right, so we got 11 games. This was the afternoon game, which had 2 hours of me giving it undivided attention, and then we had two games tonight later that had a lot of undivided attention. So there's a lot more notes with those games than the other ones, which were all on at the same time. So for Eastern teams, they're all on at the same time, and when I look forward at the schedule, it's going to be crazy for the next 2 months. So this is the ninth last Saturday will be somewhere around there. We're around the halfway mark of the season, where I think it was a 17-week season, and this is week 8, I think, of the 17, or week 9 of 18. Anyways, it's week 9 because I know I'm doing week 8 of the power rankings tonight. So this is the 9th week in the NHL. So there you go, halfway through the season. Let's start it off with this game, which does have its own board for reasons. And I'll describe that, and I'll explain that when we get to the other boards. So Dallas and Columbus. And for Dallas, this is getting to be kind of a tiring narrative. They played well. They did. They had a lot of good chances. And then they ended up losing. Columbus wearing the reverse retros. No Rope Hintz today. No Mark Pesic either. So Dallas already short Sagan, Radulov, Bishop. And I'm not going to use injuries as an excuse because I think they are an excuse for the most part. But yeah, it's kind of a deep cut when you lose 3 of your top 6 forwards in Sagan, Radulov, and Hintz. So there's that. Stars press at 3.5 minutes. Robertson tried a wraparound. That did not go. Shots were 1 apiece at 4.5 minutes. It was evenly played through 8 minutes. And then Domi. Max Domi. He scores from Roslovic and Bemstrom at 9:07. And there was no chance for Ottinger on that one. It was a nice rebound goal for Domi. Stars were flat after that 1-0 goal. Got to be honest. They were flat until during a Columbus line change. Smart pass by Foxa, and Cogliano would score from Foxa and Alexiak at 16:44. And that woke him up. The Stars pushed for the lead. Gardner hit the post. It was his 13th NHL game today, and Rhett Gardner is still waiting for his first goal. Great second half for Dallas. So we go to the second period with Dallas, all the strength and character in the world. And early in the second, they get more chances. Pavelski, from in close, he would shoot high. Foxa had a chance, was denied, but it was a good start for Dallas. And then Sekera, he scores his first of the year from Cogliano and Como at 7:17. So here we go, right? It's 2-1 now for Dallas. It was a point shot that went in. The shots at that stage were 4-0 for Dallas in the second period. Stars then pressed for more. Columbus was absolutely pinned down. Columbus couldn't gain the Stars zone, and from the bench, you could hear Stars players yelling, "Not down the middle." So they're channeling how I am when I play street hockey or floor hockey. Don't throw it down the middle. Throw it down the side. Throw it down the boards. That's kind of a hockey 101 thing. You just don't throw it down the middle when you're in your own zone, unless you don't have either don't have an option or you have a very easy pass to make there. Clean penalty-free game, and it would stay that way mostly. Ottinger stops Nash with 4:45 left, but then Atkinson would score from Domi and Roslovic at 16:45, and it was sloppy play by the Dallas defense after losing a faceoff. So it's just bang bang and it's in the net. And then a minute later, exactly, Foligno scores from Werenski at 17:45. And this was after Esa Lindell just fell down. So he fell down. It opened up some space for Foligno, and he took it. He's a veteran. He knows how to score there. And those were goals on back-to-back shots for Columbus. And suddenly it's 3-2 for the Blue Jackets, which was frustrating because Dallas had controlled a lot of that second period, and here was Columbus with the lead. So we go to the third. Dallas 0-7-4 when they're trailing after 2 periods coming into today. Stars did press, and then it's Gurianov who gets off the schneid with a goal. It's his first in 16 games from Dickinson and Bennett 5:08. And it's funny because I keep remembering these conversations I had with Stars fans last year saying I was underrating him. He's going to get 30 goals in a season. He's a natural goal scorer. It's his first in 16 games. It's the thing. After a rookie season, there is a sophomore jinx or a sophomore slump, however you want to look at it, and we'll probably see next season whether Gurianov's the goal scorer or not. Columbus had no shots at 5.5 minutes, so it's the same as the second period. No shots. Dallas has a goal. 47 minutes in, still no penalties. Puck pressure was heavy for the Dallas Stars. Crossbar then for Atkinson. That still counts as not being a shot on net because it hit the crossbar. Bemstrom then gets a penalty shot, and it was a legit penalty shot. That was a situation where, yeah, he gets tripped up. So he gets the shot before that, and then on the penalty shot, he stopped. So that's 2 shots for the price of 1 right there. Ottinger with a nice save. Stars then pressed. Shots are being blocked. Atkinson had a chance. That was stopped. Robinson had a wraparound chances. Columbus was pressing. Much better period for Columbus. And then with 2 minutes left, there's still no penalties in this game because a penalty shot doesn't qualify as penalty minutes. Last minute chance for the Stars. That stays out. And Merzlikins gets Columbus to overtime. Dallas did have chances late in this, but Elvis was really quite good in this. And then in overtime, both teams get early chances. Gurianov would miss high. Robertson was denied. The Stars had a 3-on-1 that misfired. Laine had a counterattack that misfired as well. But with 5 seconds left, about 4.5 left in the overtime, Werenski scores from Bjorkstrand and Roslovic after 3 other saves, as Dallas kind of stood around and watched, like, I wonder how Jake's getting out of this one. I don't know, you want to go back and help him? So, yeah, Columbus wins this one 4-3. Dallas drops to 8, 9, and 6. And for Columbus, they go to 11, 12, and 6. So again, those games in hand, you have to win them. You can't just say we have games in hand, we're going to be fine. You have to win those games in hand. Shots in this one, 10-7 Dallas in the first, 11-5 Dallas in the second, 10-8 Columbus in the third, and 4-1 Columbus in the overtime. They knew they could steal this. Final shots, 30-26 for Dallas. No power plays. None in this game. 0. Ottinger, 22 saves on 26 shots. The numbers don't look great, but Ottinger was fine. Merzlikins, 27 saves on 30 shots. He was better than a 900 save percentage today. Played really, really well. Now I need to go the other stack of boards on that right there. That's the top, of course, of the other easel where I've got tonight's games ready, and we'll get into those. Now, let us get to tonight's games. So there were 7 games on at 4 o'clock, right? And then there was 1 game on at 8 o'clock. So the reason I had the first game on a board all by itself is because I need 2 boards for the 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. If I had that board, then I'd be running 3 boards at a time and almost 4 at points during tonight. So I thought, nope, that one gets its own board. There you go. For anybody who might have been curious. So Buffalo tonight, they played well. And I'm not making that up. I'm really not. Reverse retro for the Penguins, which I thought maybe gave the Sabres some hope that, reverse retros generally haven't had a good record. Tonight, though, they did. Tonight and today, the reverse retros did pretty well. Columbus with the win. Pittsburgh here. Players, so, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Power play for the Sabres, that was killed off. The shots were in favor of the Penguins. That first period, the Penguins played really well. And with 8 minutes left, the shots were 6-4. They'd end up 10-6. But Carter Hutton played a very good game. So that's part of the storyline tonight for Buffalo. Second period. Sabres would press it around the 2-minute mark. Strong start for the Sabres. Remember, too, during that first period, there were 8 games on at the same time. Second period of this game, there were 8 games on at the same time. Kapanen had a chance that was stopped. The shots were 4-2 for the Sabres at 6.5 minutes. Sabres would press it around the halfway mark. And I was really curious about this game because it's Buffalo. Honestly, I really was. Hall fired one that was high and wide. Sabres, I thought, the best game they've played in weeks. The Penguins get a power play, and they would score on it. It's Jake Gensel at 16:37. And the Sabres needed to respond, and they don't. Big save by DeSmith. It was a point shot where he makes the save there. He had a very good game. We go to the third period. The shots were 4-2 for the Penguins at 6.5 minutes, which is noteworthy because, again, when you're down, it's the third period, you're at home. You want to see those shots being generated, and Buffalo just didn't have it. Crosby then missed a prime chance after Stahl had one that went wide. Dumoulin had a chance that was denied. Power play for the Penguins. The Sabres would get their turn on the power play. Their power plays are both unsuccessful. And a goalie pull with 2 minutes left means Pittsburgh has a chance to ice it. And they do. So what would have been a 1-0 loss becomes more than that. First, it's Crosby from Letang at 19:07. And then Jankowski adds an empty netter as well from Bluger and Tanev at 19:44. So the final score is 3-0 in favor of Pittsburgh. They go to 17-9-1. Buffalo drops to 6-16-4. So for Buffalo, yeah, again, they seem to find new ways to lose, and I don't know how I feel about that. Again, they played relatively well tonight, and then it just stopped when they allowed that goal by Gensel. It's like their confidence just goes, well, that's it. We're done. It's 1-0. And, you know, if you're Ralph Kruger behind the bench, you're probably saying, look, there's still a lot of game left. And the players are going, look at the score, coach. It's 1-0. They win. I don't know how you beat this. 3 stars, Jake Gensel, Casey DeSmith, and Carter Hutton. 3 stars in this one. Shots 10-6 Pittsburgh in the first, 12 apiece in the second, 12-6 Pittsburgh in the third. Final shots 34-24 for Pittsburgh. Power plays, Pittsburgh 1 for 2, Buffalo 0 for 2. Hits 24-8 for Buffalo. Block shots 10-9 for Buffalo. So Buffalo is doing a lot of hitting. Casey DeSmith saves all 24 shots for his 5th career shutout. Hutton saves 31 out of 32 in a very thankless job. They did talk about this on Hockey Night in Canada tonight too. Elliot Friedman thinking that, you know, they might make a move behind the bench, but he thinks Bruce Boudreau might be the best fit there, and it might be better to wait until next season or see if he wants to jump into what's a complete mess, right? So it might be one of those situations where they just say, we'll just leave Kruger behind the bench the rest of the season and then figure it out next season. But it is getting ugly. No doubt about that. Next up, Islanders. Boy, these guys have 9 lives. And I have to say, the Islanders impressed the hell out of me just a lot. That being said, I feel bad for New Jersey tonight as well. Early Islanders power play, that was killed off. Zacha scores the 7th of the year from Palmieri and Murray at 6:37. The Devils would get a power play after that. That was killed off. The Islanders get one as this was a game that featured a lot of power plays. No power plays were successful tonight. They were just on the ice a lot. Wahlstrom would score before the period was out from Varlamov at 17:58, so goalie with the assist on that. And it's 1-1 after 1. Second period. The referee, we end up with a referee in this game rather than 2. I still think one referee can call a game. And I also thought that when a referee got hurt, that one of the linesmen would then become a duplicate referee. Or I guess the other way around, that if a linesman gets hurt, one of the referees becomes a linesman. Anyways, so yeah, upper body injury for a referee. He's out. I don't know if he's going on LTIR. I don't know if that saves Bettman money. I'm not sure how that works with refs. Okay, so Kuokkanen would score from Sharangovich and Zajac at 104. So again, Sharangovich, Kuokkanen, these guys are good depth players for the Devils. They come up big. They go up 2-1. Devils then get a power play. Varlamov saved a chance from Zacha. The Islanders would get a power play after that. A Beauvillier chance that was fantastic. That was stopped by Blackwood, who played maybe the best game he's played since he returned from injury. The Islanders were 0 for 4. Solid penalty kill by the Devils. So they killed off 4 of those, and that was it for the power play for the Islanders. Varlamov then denies Hughes. The power play for the Devils would get a shot late in this period, but it's unsuccessful. So 2-1 New Jersey going into the third. Kiefer Bellows. I didn't expect him to get 2 tonight, but there he is. First from Barzal and Eberle at 1:59, and then he scores from Eberle at 5 minutes and 10 seconds. So Kiefer Bellows, one of those guys who's, I guess, technically a bust for some. For others, myself included, I still think there's potential there. I don't know how much upside there is, but he gets 2 goals in about 3.5 minutes. Give him a look. The Devils had no shots 7 minutes into this. So much like Buffalo, when things go south for New Jersey, and done. The difference being that the Islanders are known for being excellent at shutting other teams down. Pittsburgh's not a slouch themselves, but the Islanders might be the masters of it. And the Islanders were in total control. It was time to play the trap and run the clock, stop taking penalties, stop getting power plays. The goaltender would get pulled with 2 minutes left, but New Jersey was not going to tie this up. The final 3-2, the Islanders go to 18-6-4. The record keeps getting better. New Jersey 8-13-3, and the Islanders announcers even said, we don't play outside the division. So I've been asking around, like, how do the Islanders compare with the other elite teams in the NHL? And he said basically all the reviews have been pretty darn well, and I agree. They're right there, and every week for me they seem to be getting better. 3 stars in this one: Bellows, Eberle, and Kuokkanen. Shots 13-6 in favor of the Islanders in the first, 18-9 New Jersey in the second, and then 7-4 for the Islanders in the third. Final shots 29-28 for the Islanders, Power plays 0 for 4 for New Jersey, 0 for 3 for 0 for 4 for the Islanders, 0 for 3 for New Jersey. Hits 26 to 20 for the Islanders. Block shots 11 to 10 for the Islanders. Varlamov saves 26 out of 28 in the victory, and Blackwood saves 26 out of 29 in the loss. Again, Blackwood played well. Just the Islanders right now, if you want a bandwagon, if you're like, I think I want to be a bandwagon fan this year, might I suggest the Islanders? Because this is impressive for a team that a couple weeks into the season was being looked at as, they're probably fifth in that division. They probably finish outside the playoffs. Now, I don't think there's anybody who believes that. There might be a few, but there's not very many left. Washington. So the Capitals, who a few weeks ago, not necessarily playing great hockey and having their struggles, and they were seen as maybe being the team on the outside of the top 5 in the East, against Philadelphia, who may very well end up being that team that's on the outside of the top 5. There has to be some concern in Philadelphia. I'll be interested to see if management in Philly tries to turn this around, because it feels like that this could get away from them. The only good news for them right now is that Boston hasn't exactly been tearing up the league either. So for Pittsburgh, for the Islanders, and for the Capitals, they look like they may end up being the top 3 teams in the East. It's still early. The reverse retro Flyers, not as lucky as the reverse retro for the Penguins or for the Blue Jackets. Early chances for the Flyers. The shots were 3-1 in their favor 4 minutes in. Sprong, though, would score from Vrana and Kuznetsov at 4:40. Power play then for the Flyers. That's unsuccessful. And before the period's out, Washington adds to their lead. It's Hagelin from Jensen and Hathaway at 13:21. So in a period that was pretty evenly played, the Flyers come out of it down by 2. But they make up for that early in the second. Van Riemsdyk continues this amazing run he's been on with a goal at 2:36. So he is still hot in terms of scoring in the NHL. But Jensen would score almost right after. It was a beautiful goal by Jensen from Hagelin. It was bar down and in, and I thought it was a good fast break goal. Announcers felt maybe it was a bit of a leaky goal, so they end up replacing Elliott on that play. That's at 3:05. The numbers would tell you it's not really Elliott, although there might be an issue with Philly goaltending again, because it's a season. Every season it feels like Flyers goaltending somehow comes under scrutiny. Then Nolan Patrick would score from Voracek and Sanheim at 5:47. So a lot of goals scored back and forth in this second period. Shots were 10-3 for the Flyers 8 minutes in. They get a power play. The Caps then get a power play. And who scores goal number 716? Nick Jensen. No, Ovechkin. I get those two mixed up. Their goal scoring is very similar, at least tonight. Both of them had one. Ovechkin with 716. That puts him one behind Phil Esposito. Backstrom and Carlson with the assists at 13-10. That made it 4-2. And so you see this after 2 periods and you go, well, it's 4-2 for the Caps. They should hold that, right? No problem. In fact, 4:25 into the third period, Dowd scores from Hathaway and Carlson, makes it 5-2. And then they get a power play after that. So home free. Maybe not. The Flyers get a power play and they score on it. Gostisbehere, he scores from Couturier and Konechny at 13:07. And then it's Giroux. Claude Giroux scores from Voracek and Sanheim at 17:03. They did pull the goaltender. They did their best to do the Flyers comeback. They fall short, 5-4. Capitals go to 17-6-4. Like I said, the Flyers fall to 13-9-3. Have to be concerned now about their place in the East. 3 stars, Ovechkin, Dowd, and Van Riemsdyk. Shots 9-8, Washington in the first. 15-7 Philadelphia in the second, 9-7 Philadelphia in the third. Final shots were actually 32-23 for the Flyers. Power plays, Washington 1 for 2, Philadelphia 1 for 3. The hits, 28-17 in Philadelphia's favor. Blocked shots, 19-12 in Washington's favor. Samsonov saves 28 out of 32 in the win. Elliott saves 7 out of 10. He's replaced by Hart. Hart saves 11 out of 13. The loss goes on his record because he allowed the game-winning goal. So yeah, for the Flyers, it's another setback for them. All right, moving along. Nashville. Nashville played a good game. The problem was when the game got good for them, it was already a bit of a hill to climb against a Tampa Bay Lightning team that raised their banner to the rafters tonight. And so fans in attendance, banner raised, it's nice. And so right away I thought, that's going to give them some energy. Not only that, but they were wearing their black third jerseys, which they have a really good record when they wear. I'm still not a fan of the black Tampa Bay third jersey. And that being as it is, this was a really good game. So the shots were 1-1 at 3 minutes. Slowish start, but then Tampa being Tampa, Johnson scores from Chernak and Coleman at 6:55. So Tyler Johnson has started to get it going offensively again, which you knew he would. The reason that he wasn't taken in the offseason is his contract. It's not Tyler Johnson the person, it's the contract with Tyler Johnson's production that teams right now in a flat cap world would say, we can't. We just can't. Joseph would score before the period's out. One of those late goals that can be tough, especially for Nashville, who must be fighting their confidence right now. Chernak and Stamkos with the assists at 18:35. So all of a sudden, Eric Chernak's getting points. If he's in your fantasy, you may not be winning, but you might be winning this week. Second period, Bolts get a power play and they score on it. It's Killorn. He scores from Palat and Hedman at 2:24. Now, to their credit, Nashville doesn't give up. They did score. Trennan scores from Arvidsson at 12:02. They then get a power play shortly after. That was killed off. And again, late goal in the period, almost exactly the same time. 13 seconds after the other one was scored in the first. So Point scores from Sergachev at 18:48. So Tampa, they're very good. Key situations, big moments. It's how Tampa rolls. Third period, Carrier scores his first NHL goal. Yep. So again, they're not going away. Trennan and Olivier with the assists at 3:17. So Yakov Trennan with a goal and an assist tonight. Predators then get a power play, and they score on it. It's Eric Howla. He picks it up. He gets the goal from Yarncroke and Cousins at 5:03. And suddenly it's a 4-3 game. This game's not over. And they kept pushing. The Predators in that third period played very, very well. They were pushing for the tie. And Tampa was on their heels a bit. Pushed by the Predators, and then it ends up going to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this one is scored from, it's Coleman from Goudreau and Johnson at 10:02. So just when you get the feeling that maybe this game's going to turn and maybe Nashville's going to tie it, Tampa does what Tampa does. They get ready to close it out. Predators were pressing. They were forcing turnovers in the second half of that period. Again, they didn't give up. 3:08 left. They call a timeout. They would pull the goaltender soon after. That allows McDonough to get an empty netter from Palat at 18:26. So again, a goal scored at around the 18.5-minute mark. Each period that happened. Your final score is 6-3 in favor of Tampa. They go to 19-5-2. Predators drop to 11-16-1. It's a rough record. Again, they're not going to make the playoffs, but that's not too shabby. So 3 stars, Chernak, Johnson, and Coleman. And by not too shabby, I mean the effort tonight was good. Just the result, if you're a Nashville fan, not where you want it to be. So yeah, Chernak, Johnson, Coleman, your 3 stars. The shots, 11-9 in favor of Tampa in the first, 10-7 Tampa in the second, and then Nashville. They turned it on. They outshot them 15-7 in the third. Final shots were actually 31-28 in favor of the Nashville Predators. Nashville goes 1 for 2 on the power play. Tampa Bay 1 for 1. So a relatively clean game as well. Hits 21-17 in favor of Tampa. Blocked shots 12-5 in favor of Nashville. Only 5 blocked shots for Tampa. Pecorine 22 saves on 27 shots. Vasilevsky 28 saves on 31 shots. So for Tampa, they stay first, but it's first place in this division is going to be tough to keep because of a team I'm wearing here and we need to talk about. So, Florida, and on a related note, Chicago. If Chicago's going to solidify their spot as a top 4 team, they have to win some games against teams above them. I talked about them in a video about the Central, and how their record against teams above them in the standings, not fantastic. They need to work on that. And tonight, reverse retro night for the Florida Panthers. But the reverse retros, 3-1. Yeah, those were the only reverse retros, because, that's it. So the reverse retros today were 3-1. Curse is broken again. So the Panthers get a power play. They would press it around the 7.5-minute mark. The Hawks got a power play. That was killed off, and then they got another. Now, Chicago's power play has mostly been excellent. Tonight, Florida kept it off the board. The Panthers get some last-minute shots, but we go to the second period, 0-0. Hagel scores in the first 28 seconds of the second period. It's 1-0 Chicago. And I'm thinking to myself, I've seen this this week where it's scoreless and then all of a sudden Chicago's like, we'll get this. And it kind of felt somewhat like the game with Dallas, except Chicago was arguably the better team than Florida in that first period. And then at 45 seconds, the Hawks go back to the power play, and the shots were 4-1 in their favor 5 minutes in. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Florida has a book on Lankinen. And while Lankinen's numbers tonight weren't bad, this is something I've heard on a couple of broadcasts about Chicago where they're saying, yeah, teams have got, shoot high on Lankinen. He's vulnerable to those high shots. So what I saw in this game tells me that teams may very well have this kind of figured out. Barkov scores from Duclair at 7:46. That tied it up. Then Verhaeghe scores from Duclair and Barkov at 11 minutes. So that made it 2-1. And then a minute and 19 seconds later, it's Frankie Vetrano scoring his, I believe, 10th of the season from Tippett and Gudas. So, yeah, that made it 3-1. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's 3-1 in favor of Florida. And then the Panthers get a power play. And again, they mentioned teams shooting high on Lankinen. And the Panthers had 12 of the last 13 shots at that stage of the game. So they just took over. Janmark then got a chance out of the box. You got to watch for those. And then the Hawks had some furious pressure after that. They did. And it looked like going into the third period, maybe if they could score early, but they don't. In the third period, Vetrano had a chance that would go high. There was a power play for the Hawks, unsuccessful. And then just after the halfway mark at 10:01, Barkov scores from Duclair and Verhaeghe. So Duclair had 3 primary assists tonight. That's a key thing for him. He had a very good game. Barkov, fantastic. 2 goals and an assist for him. That made it 4-1. The Hawks would manage to get within a couple. Boquist scores from Keith and Kane at 18:28. They did try the old goaltending pull thing to try to get a 6-on-5 goal. Didn't succeed. There was no empty netter for Florida either, so your final's 4-2. Florida goes to 18-5-4. They are still tied for points with Tampa. And for Chicago, they dropped to 14-10-5. So they're watching as those 3 teams ahead of them get further ahead. And they do have to watch for Columbus behind them. They do have to watch for Columbus. 3 stars in this one, Barkov, Duclair, and Bobrovsky. Shots, 12-6 Chicago in the first, 13-7 Florida in the second, 16-8 in the third in favor of Florida. Final shots, 35-27 for Florida. Power plays, 0-4 for Chicago, 0-2 for Florida. The hits, 17-15 for Florida. Blocked shots, only 12 in the game. 8 of them for Chicago, 4 of them for Florida. Lankinen saved 33 out of 37. Bobrovsky continues to pick it up from a slow start, 30 saves on 32 shots. I did get a good chuckle today, too. These sites that project, here's who's going to make the playoffs, and we've run all our simulations. And according to the simulation, Chicago drops out of 4th spot, and Dallas gets it. And I saw that, and I got a good chuckle. So I was like, Dallas is not going to win enough games to do that. But those projections are I always just find them amusing. Because, again, it's that we want to know the future. We want to know the future so that when it comes out the way that we all figure, well, yeah, I projected it, and there you go, it came out the way. And very often it won't, because sports is very unpredictable during a regular season. During the playoffs, maybe a little bit. All right. That's a whole other debate for a whole other time. We'll just forget I brought that up. Next up, Winnipeg. Wow. This one surprised me. And it surprised me because I really figured the Leafs were going to put their foot down. I really felt the Leafs were going to establish we are still the best team in Canada. And it feels like tonight they lost that opportunity. And they've given a little bit of hope to the Winnipeg Jets. So the Leafs get an early goal, but it was a hand pass. And so that means it gets taken off the board. The shots were 2-0 for the Leafs 6 minutes in, so the Jets were slow to get started. And again, I thought, well, this is a game where I think the Leafs should win this. Jets were pressing at the half. The Leafs then got a power play. But during that power play, Brossoit looked very sharp. Brossoit had a good game. No space in the middle. And then Anderson denied the cop. Now, when I say no space in the middle, I mean both Winnipeg and LA. LA came out on the ice, surprising both the Jets and the Leafs. Now, during this game, both Toronto and Winnipeg, got the team names right, yes, score. They were both making it so there was no room down the middle. There was no room for those big fast break goals. And then so Anderson would deny cop before the period's out, but it's a 0-0 game. Early in the second period, Appleton from Lowry at 141 and that may have opened things up a little bit. Muzzin had a chance that was denied. Brossois was having equipment issues. There was more than one time where he had to go over and get adjustments made. At some point, a referee is allowed to say, all right, you're taking too long. Throw the backup in and come back out here when your equipment's fixed. It's very rare that happens, though. I've noticed that referees will basically allow them almost any time they need. Appleton had a break that was saved after that. The Jets get a power play. During that power play, the Leafs did something they haven't done all season. They got a shorthanded goal, and it's Jake Muzzin that gets it from Marner at 5:03. And again, I felt like, so that's a key goal, right? It's a 1-1 tie now. You've broken up their power play. And then 2 minutes later, after that power play is done, Nylander scores from Thornton and Hall at 7:12. So it's 2-1 for Toronto. And that's where you feel like, okay, so this is probably out of control. This is probably how this is going to work. Stastny would score from CHI-FLA, however, and Stanley at 16:34. That is the first NHL point for Logan Stanley. I know this because I know zeros is what I've been seeing under his name for a while. So the Leafs would get a power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. And then there was 108 of 403. Like 4-on-3 is just a bunch of penalties back to back to back to back. And it doesn't end up mattering. So we go to the third period. And it's 2-2. And in that third period, Lowry would score from Appleton and DeMello at 7:39. And there you go. So what was interesting with Winnipeg was that they had a period of about 8.5 minutes without a shot during this game. They, of course, had 6 minutes at the start of the game without a shot. And they were just very opportunistic. This is how Winnipeg works. They'll lull you to sleep, and then they'll come out and they'll get you. So the Leafs were scrambling their lines after Ehlers adds one. Ehlers gets a goal from Pionk at 14:34. So that made it suddenly 4-2 after Toronto had been up 2-1 in this game. So with 4:14 left, the Jets get a power play. Sheldon Keefe's not a fan of this power play. So he lets the referee know, and lets the referee know, and lets him know. And then that's it. At some point, you're going to get a misconduct, which made it a 2-minute 5-on-3. And I'm trying to think if I've ever seen that situation where coach is complaining about a penalty and they get another one to make it a 2-minute 5-on-3. I don't know that I've seen that before. Keefe would storm away from this game. When this game closed out, he stormed off. 5-on-3, CHI-FLA gets the goal. Because it's 2 minutes 5-on-3, you're going to get a goal 9 times out of 10. Morrissey gets the assist. Wheeler with the other at 16:32, and that made it 5-2. And then Connor would hit a crossbar shortly after that. So it could have been 6-2. So 5-2 is your final score in favor of the Jets. They go to 17-8-2. Toronto drops to 19-8-2. I'm still not overly concerned about Toronto because they do have 19 wins. But there's some troubling signs here. And yes, there are some things they need to work on. 3 stars in this. Lowry, Appleton, and CHI-FLA. Shots 7 apiece in the first, and then 13-9 Winnipeg in the second, 12-5 Winnipeg in the third. Final shots 32-21 for Winnipeg. I kept waiting for Toronto to really take over the game, and it really didn't happen. Power plays, Winnipeg 2 for 4, Toronto 0 for 3. Hits 31-15 in favor of Winnipeg. Blocked shots 14-11 in favor of Winnipeg. Brossois saves 20 out of 22, played very well, shows they can rest Hellebuck if they need to. And Anderson saves 27 out of 32. Yep. You want to have that debate about Freddie Anderson, go right on ahead. I'm not going to try to stop you, because what's the point? There's people who don't like Freddie Anderson. They're going to look at that number. They're going to be like, see, Anderson's a sieve. All right, well, all right, I've had that debate for years, and have at her. I think it's 4 years now, right? Fine, good, fine. All right, next up. So Calgary's playing Montreal, and this was on at the same time as Winnipeg and Toronto, and I swear I watched them equally. But there's something that's changed with Daryl Sutter, and I know it's just a couple of games, but it feels like Calgary's defense is just better. It's just better. And I don't know if it's a strategic thing, if it's that the guys just having a new voice behind the bench, they feel better. Guys will never admit they wanted a new coach. They don't work that way. So the shots were 5-0 for the Flames at 5 minutes. It's another slow start for Montreal. And then Monahan scores from Ritchie at 5:38. So Brett Ritchie continues to have a pretty solid run with the Calgary Flames. And yeah, it was another slow start. And then they get a power play a little bit after the halfway mark, and they score on it. it's Monahan again. So that first goal was Monahan's 200th, and that's 201 is the second one. So Tkachuk and Lindholm with the assists at 13:56, and yeah, it's 2-0 for Calgary after one. And I never really had a doubt they were going to win this game. It is so bizarre to watch the difference between the way Montreal plays against Calgary to how they play against Vancouver, because I think talent-wise, Calgary and Vancouver are right around the same. But Calgary just knows how to beat Montreal. So second period, the Habs press it around the 2-minute mark, not able to get a goal. Markstrom says no. And then Backlund would score from Mangiapane at 7:20. So that made it 3-0. And again, with Sutter behind the bench, I suddenly don't have any concern about Calgary blowing a lead. Habs get a power play. They desperately needed a goal. There was a tip shot by Gallagher, saved. The Habs go back to the power play. It becomes a 4-on-4, but Montreal gets a goal. It's Petrie from Drouin and Edmondson at 14 minutes and 20 seconds. So that makes the score 3-1 in favor of Calgary, which again, I was not really overly concerned. The Flames then press with 2.5 minutes left, but we go to the third. It's still 3-1. Big Markstrom save at around the 5-minute mark. It's what Markstrom does. He's good at the big saves, big moments. When he plays with the lead, he's pretty darn good. They pulled the goaltender with 3:25 left. They called a timeout with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. They did have pressure, and they did, but Markstrom was there for the saves, and there was good shot blocking going on. Tanev was doing some good jobs, a good job shot blocking. A good job blocking some shots might have been the better way of saying that. But, improv, no script. So yeah, Gallagher then missed wide, and the Flames iced it, but even though they were icing the puck, Montreal just could not get it. They couldn't get it. They lose 3-1. They drop to 12-8-7. Calgary goes to 13-12-3. They've done themselves a great favor by knocking off Montreal a couple of times here. They get themselves closer to potentially being that number 14, and might have done Vancouver a favor as well. So 3 stars in this one are Monahan, Tkachuk, and Dubé. Shots 16-6 Calgary in the first, 12-10 Calgary in the second. Montreal did outshoot them 9-8 in the third. Final shots 36-25 for Calgary. Montreal 0 for 2 on the power play. Calgary 1 for 3. Hits 23-16 for Montreal. Blocked shots 14-8 for Montreal. Carey Price 33 saves on 36 shots, and Markstrom 24 saves on 25 shots. So yeah, Price had a good game. But this has got to be a little bit concerning, because Montreal's starting to get into some of the same habits they had with Claude Julien behind the bench. So we'll see how long those last and if line changes are coming or not. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move along to the next game on the board, which is Vegas and St. Louis. So one of the debates we've been having is the standing of Vegas as the best team in the division. And they went through a couple of games against Minnesota, and the one especially where they were without Stone and Pietrangelo. And when Vegas doesn't have Mark Stone, it makes a huge difference. Kudos to Minnesota for the win in that game. Absolutely not taking it away because they win it, but it just makes a big difference. And tonight's a good example of just how good Vegas is with Stone in the lineup. The Blues wearing their throwback thirds. I like those jerseys. And at 4:01, on the first shot for Vegas, it goes in the net. Spiffy jerseys or not. Theodore scores from Marchessault and Carlson. So that gives Vegas the lead. Vegas is very good with the lead. Vegas got a good chance after that. The shots were 7-3 in their favor, 8.5 minutes into this game. Fleury then denied Scandella. The Blues pressed at 12.5 minutes. The shots did even up, but Marc-Andre Fleury was very good tonight. Absolutely back. He had a couple of games statistically where he was down. Apparently that was just so he could jack his stats back up. Post then for Tuck, and we go to the second period with it 1-0. The shots were 3-1 for the Blues in that second period, 8.5 minutes in. So the Blues did come out and play relatively well and keep Vegas under control. Blues' fourth line was pressing at the halfway mark. The puck goes the other way. Whitecloud had a shot that was deflected out by Husso. Vegas pressure would then draw power play. So power play for Vegas. That was killed off, so Vegas got another one. That power play didn't last. 15 seconds later, Tuck takes a penalty. It becomes a 4-on-4. Late in the period, Vegas would get a power play, or Vegas took a penalty, I should say, and the Blues got a power play. So we go to the third period, and coming into tonight, the Blues had scored power play goals in 6 straight games. That record was broken tonight. Early save by Husso in the third period, and then Stone. Stone gets the goal from Pacioretty and Theodore at 1:32, and that was off of a turnover at the St. Louis blue line. There was no chance for Husso on that. And it was interesting, too, because the St. Louis announcers, even, because I love Darren Pang. Panger's fantastic. They even mentioned how in this 2-game set, they kind of expected something towards Stone based on the Bozak hit the last time these teams met each other. There really wasn't anything. St. Louis I didn't see anybody challenge him to a fight. There were no real, big hits thrown at him. And tonight he was part of the reason that Vegas wins this. So Vegas was amping up their board work after that, but St. Louis, and what I mean by that is they were just, keep the puck along the boards, keep it all, just the dirty play along the boards. I don't mean dirty like cheating. I just mean keep the puck up and just use your skate. Nothing pretty about it. But Sammy Blais would score from Tarasenko and Falk at 4:39. So St. Louis keeps the pressure on. That makes it 2-3 or 2-1. However, it becomes 3-1 when Pacioretty scores from Stevenson at 7:25. So Vegas, they know how to answer. This is how Vegas plays, and that was against the flow of play as well. St. Louis had it under control, and then Pacioretty just scores. So that's where 3 years ago the whole Vegas reasons thing came from. Is that a team would be dominating, Vegas go the other way and just score. I'd be like, oh, all right, okay. So Vegas gets that. Power play then for the Blues, and it became 53 seconds of 5-on-3, and that was really the game. That's the game right there. There was a nice shoulder save by Fleury. One bounced off his helmet, and yeah, they don't score that 5-on-3. They don't score 5-on-4. Vegas frustrated that power play, and then Stone scores again. Pacioretty and Martinez with the assists at 12:09. So down by 3. Nothing to lose. Berube figures, I'm pulling my goalie. They pull the goalie with 4:15 left, and then with 2:46 left, they called a timeout. During that timeout, whatever they decided didn't work, because Tuck gets the empty netter at 19 minutes and 30 seconds, and your final score is 5-1 in favor of Vegas. They go to 18-6-1. St. Louis drops to 14-9-5. They're right at the halfway mark of their season after tonight. 3 stars, Fleury, Stone, and Pacioretty. Shots in this one, 9 each in the first period, 11-5 St. Louis in the second, and 15-12 St. Louis in the third. Final shots, 35-26 for St. Louis, which is why Fleury gets the number 1 star. Power plays, Vegas 0-2 and St. Louis 0-4. Fleury, a big reason they were 0-4. Hits, 17-11 St. Louis in the first, in the first period they had 17 hits. No, in the game it was 17-11, and blocked shots, 17-12 in favor of St. Louis. So they dominated on every side except the score sheet. Fleury, 33 saves on 34 shots. Husso saves 21 out of 25. And again, I can't blame a goaltender when they lose to Marc-Andre Fleury. So Vegas moves on, St. Louis moves on, and these teams will see each other again likely soon because it's all divisional, right? And now we get to talk about the other Canadian matchup. So, the final board, as you can see, a lot more notes for these games than I anticipated that, so I gave both games 2 columns, because I knew that was what was going to happen. It's the end of the night, so I know I'm going to take a bunch of notes, likely more than I do on some of the others, because the last games of the night. And now we're going to talk about Vancouver and the Edmonton Oilers. So, Vancouver again, they're going to make the playoffs? No. But they're winning enough games to keep things interesting and make sure their fans are tuning in. It was Koskinen versus Demko. Thatcher Demko is such a good goaltender. And it's funny because early on in the season, his numbers weren't great, and there was definitely some panic in Canuckland because Markstrom's numbers were really good. Now Markstrom's numbers are still good. Demko's just been really good. Shots were 2-0 Oilers at 4 minutes. The Oilers in the Canuck zone a lot for the first 7 minutes. There was a post then for Tanner Pearson. The Canucks pressed at 12.5 minutes, but didn't get any shots out of it. So that's the problem when you get the pressure and you don't get a shot through. McDavid then tried to will one into the net. We get a broken pane of glass, which led to a delay. Schmidt got hurt on a shot block. Pretty sure he stayed in the game, though. Besser had a chance that missed the net. Demko then made some late saves on McDavid. So Connor McDavid does not get a goal tonight, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that Demko said no. So we go to the second period. Canucks get a power play. Miller would hit a post. The Canucks did press after it expired, so it wasn't one of these after the power play's over, the Oilers get the puck out and they put the pressure on. Edler had a shot that missed the net. I swear he'll get that 100th goal at some point. He's been sitting on 99 for a while. He hasn't had a goal this year. Oilers get a power play. Demko with some really good saves. Did just, the penalty kill held. And that's really all you could ask. The Canucks then get their second power play, and they score on it. Horvat from Pearson and Miller at 12:59. And Koskinen wasn't happy. Koskinen was pretty sure he'd been interfered with. There was no challenge. If you looked at it on the replay, the puck was loose, and it was more of an Oilers defender that got in his way than an actual Canuck player. So it was one of those dirty goals, but Horvat will take it. This is 12th of the season, makes it 1-0 Vancouver. The Oilers then tried to answer right away. They get a power play, trying to tie it, and then for 23 seconds they had a 5-on-3 because Edler takes a penalty. He does take penalties regularly. And of course his number is 23, so 23 seconds of 5-on-3, that's not too shabby. Demko stopped Nurse on a shot, and this was after the 5-on-3, but it's still a 5-on-4. Draisaitl scores on the power play from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid at 16:59. So, that was also at a point where Hamonic had a broken stick. So it's 5-on-3.5, as I always term it. The Oilers then pressed for the lead, and Demko denies Puljujarvi in the final 30 seconds. So we're going to the third period, and you could feel the momentum shifting towards the Oilers. The Oilers really, really played quite well. Great road game by them tonight. Just let's go about the third period. First minute, Nurse hits a post. Canucks were not able to clear it either. Canucks then finally did clear. They almost had one that's just tipped wide by Sutter. There was a press by the Vancouver Canucks at 4.5 minutes. Virtanen then fell awkwardly. He'd stay in the game, but keep an eye on that because that's the kind of injury that you might be fine during the game, and then as soon as you're post-game and you get a chance to sleep, he might wake up really sore tomorrow. He might not be in the next game. Just the way he fell awkwardly, muscle pull, that kind of thing, that can swell up later. Pearson was then denied. Both goaltenders very good, and then Tyler Myers with a blast from the point. At 9:23, that goes in. Jordy Ben gets his 100th NHL assist. Höglander with the secondary assist, which is good because Höglander had a good game. And that makes it 2-1 for Vancouver. The Oilers would then push for the answer. And there is no quit in these Oilers. So while, yes, they were coming off of having played last night, their energy level, I thought, stayed really high throughout the game. And this likely would have been a win for the Oilers if Holtby was in net. We're now to the point where Demko's playing almost every night. And I think Travis Green realizing how important these games are and how much they need to go on a winning streak, I don't think we're going to see Holtby for a little while. Now that I've said that, they'll be like, we're going to play Holtby in the next game because Shannon said. 6 minutes left, the Oilers press. The Canucks were getting hemmed in. When they did get it out, Höglander had a fantastic chance, would not go in. McDavid then, at the other end, he hits the side of the net. Demko, back-to-back big saves. So with 2.5 minutes left, the Oilers get a power play, and I just put, oh well, because I'm thinking, all right, they got a lead, it's late, the Oilers got a power play. You can put out Barrie, Nurse, Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, McDavid. It's quite a collection of really good players, and then you can throw a sixth player out there, and it doesn't really matter who you put on the ice because you've already got those other five. They did pull the goaltender to make it 6-on-4, not initially on the power play, but they eventually did. And then with 1:46 left, they called a timeout. So again, kind of expecting a collapse, and the Canucks killed it off. Now with 18.5 seconds left, they then iced the puck, which again left me a little bit concerned because you have 6 really good Oilers on the ice, and now they're going to be rested while your guys aren't. That being said, it's not like their guys are going to leave the ice. You're going to put fresh players on the ice because no. But so they win it. Vancouver holds on and wins it. The Oilers dropped to 18-12. Vancouver goes to 13-16-2. Again, it's not likely to happen. but Montreal and Calgary's records are not fantastic. And this is one of those games that just makes me think, if Vancouver had been able to beat Montreal, if they didn't have this mental block, which they seem to have because they play completely different against teams that aren't called the Canadiens, they would probably be in 4th place. But there you go. The 3 stars in this one, Demko, Demko, and Demko. No, it's Demko, Draisaitl, and Myers. Shots in this one, 13-4 Edmonton in the first. It was all Oilers. 13-10 Vancouver in the second, and 12-11 Oilers in the third. Final shots, 35-28 for Edmonton. Power plays, Edmonton goes 1 for 4, Vancouver goes 1 for 2. Hits, Vancouver leads that 24-17. Block shots, 23-19 in favor of Vancouver. Koskinen saves 26 out of 28. He was very good. Demko saves 34 out of 35. He was just a little bit better than Koskinen, but Koskinen was good. This loss does not go on him. Fantastic game overall. And now we'll talk about the final game of the night. San Jose and Anaheim. So San Jose seems to have an ownership over the Ducks right now that will benefit them. So the West seems pretty settled, right? I talked about them in a video as well. That the West, we have 4 top teams and 4 bottom teams, and odds are the 4 top teams probably get in it. But the Sharks are making a case for themselves. It is just beating the Ducks, so it's not like, I don't want to portray it like some huge, big, game changer. But there was an early power play. It got no shots, which, kudos to the Ducks penalty kill on that. The Ducks then got their power play. No dice for theirs either. And then Evander Kane on a beautiful play. He scores unassisted at 6:16. And that was the first shot of the game for San Jose. And it was just after the Ducks power play had ended. So they were 1 for 1 in the shots. Sharks then got a second power play. It also had 0 shots. So again, the Ducks penalty kill, pretty good. The shots were only 2-1 for the Ducks 9 minutes in. The Sharks then get their third power play of the first period. So yeah, this could have been really ugly. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1, and Heinen was robbed by Martin Jones, who played the best game he's played all season. I think tonight was the best game he's played all season. The Ducks were playing well. There was a near miss for Comtois. And yeah, that second half, the Ducks played much better. Then they get a late power play, unsuccessful. We go to the second period. Gambrell had a chance on a turnover. It doesn't go. But then Max Jones scores a goal from Shattenkirk and Lundestrom at 5:38. And it was just a fast break goal. It was nice. He was on the off wing. It was a very nice goal by Max Jones, which makes you think, why doesn't he do this more often? And then LeBanc ruins the party. Less than a minute later from Hurdle and Ferraro at 6:33. Hurdle just flings it. And LeBanc says thanks and puts it in the net. So LeBanc's definitely heating up. And that was the momentum killer. It felt like maybe the Ducks were going to, maybe they can win this. And then that was the momentum killer. Carlson then had a break. Miller with the save. And then Miller with a big save on Donato as well. Ryan Miller had a good game. He did allow a goal in the first shot, but he had a good game. Hakanpää then pulls Kane down. Kane wanted a penalty on that. It didn't happen. One thing with Evander Kane is that he does complain often to referees in order to try to get calls, and he does complain every time there's one against him. It does cause certain situations where, in that case, Hakanpää probably would have got a penalty, but not necessarily with Kane, because he got up and complained, and referees may suspect that Kane embellishes it just a little bit or sells it a little more. And again, once you've got that reputation, it's good luck getting away from it. Next play, the Ducks take a penalty. So the Sharks end up being 0 for 4 when they can't score on that one either. Third period, the Sharks 7-2-3 in 1-goal games. Not really a factor tonight. It doesn't end up being a 1-goal game. But in the shootout, 4-1. So the shootout is a big part of what's keeping these guys alive in the hunt. Martin Jones, solid throughout. And then he gets more goal support. Gambrell scores from Donato and Leonard at 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So that made us at 3-1. And on that play, the Ducks weren't shorthanded, but they kind of were, because Mahura crashed into the boards on that play, doesn't get back up before the goal goes in, so it was a 5-on-4, but it was an unplanned 5-on-4. Sharks then press at 4 minutes. Miller stopped a good chance for Nieto. The shots were 7-4 for the Sharks, 8 minutes in. 9:53 left, the Ducks get a power play. Raquel had a chance that was saved, and then shorthanded Nieto would hit the post. So good play for Nieto, just hits the post, won't quite go in. Sharks were killing this off in the final 5, keeping the puck in the Ducks zone as often as they could. With 2.5 minutes left, the Ducks did pull the goaltender. With 1 minute and 37 seconds left, they call a timeout. And then Getzlaf missed one high over the net in the last, I think, 30 seconds. And then the Sharks would miss an empty net attempt as well. But they hold on. They win it 3-1. They go to 11-11-3. The Ducks fall to 8-15-6. It's ugly. And yeah, 8 more Saturday nights after this one for me to cover hockey. 3 stars, Burns, Couture, and Martin Jones. And by hockey, I mean regular season hockey. Playoffs, that's a whole other beast. Shots, 8-7 San Jose in the first, 14-9 San Jose in the second, 11 apiece in the third. Final shots, 33-27 for San Jose. Power plays, 0-4 for San Jose, 0-3 for Anaheim. Hits, 30-29 for the Ducks. Block shots, 14-11 for San Jose. Jones saves 26 out of 27 for the Sharks. And Miller saves 30 out of 33 for the Ducks. And as for the playoffs this year, I do intend to do them the same as last season, which is every game gets its own board. And I'll start using that big vertical one again as well, because I love using that one on special occasions. And to me, the playoffs, definitely as special an occasion as you get. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below regarding these games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thanks for watching this marathon. I will talk to you guys again soon.